And joining us in studio, like Tekisho, as Transform RSA Deputy President, Tsepo Khadima, a political analyst, and we have Thabo Mutle, he's the ANC Youth League NEC member. Good evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us. It's been a while, Khadima. Always good to have you. Just very quickly on the inconsistencies in how the ANC administers discipline and how that potentially can create even further divisions, because seemingly others are treated with kid gloves.
Most certainly. I mean, for me, I think it's astounding that it would appear that the ANC and the NEC specifically on these matters of discipline, perhaps maybe they wanted to make a reality show of George Orwell's Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Because in the inconsistencies in terms of how they treat the various acts of ill discipline, which certainly have put the party into disrepute. And there can be no doubt whatsoever that not only Dr. Makosi Khosa, not only former Ekurhuleni Mayor Mondli Gungubele, but people like Derek Hanegom, Pravin Gordhan, and all of those other leaders have indeed, by their conduct and comments, have put the party into disrepute, but they have not all been treated the same way in terms of meting out discipline. And that clearly, I think, is creating big problems for the African National Congress. By this Lekgotla they had, I think they had a opportunity, or even during the National Policy Conference, where they should have once and for all dealt with these issues, where you can't be inconsistent. And I mean, Tekisho here is a lawyer, he would know that. If you are inconsistent on how you apply, it renders the whole process, it effectively invalidates the whole process. So I don't know how they are going to be able to bring about discipline when they have been really treating this similar situations but in different terms. But long story short, the party, I think, is going through a very difficult time. Now, contrast that with EFF and the Democratic Alliance. Both of them, they tolerate no ill discipline. The moment anybody speaks out of turn of what they stand for, they deal with that member decisively, effectively. The African National Congress being the largest, this notion that they are a broad church, it really doesn't hold water. If anything, it is damaging them. Yeah,
if the democratic processes in the party might also be adding to the the woes within the party, but the same offence, anything else has to be treated on the merit thereof. You could argue former Ekurhuleni executive mayor Mondli Gungubele, who came up with the brilliant concept of a metropolis, who was, by all accounts, an exceptional leader, uncorruptible, as you hear in the structures. Very first time that we hear him speaking publicly. Is that, and also being open to advice, to atone for his sins? Are you saying that there's still differences in how they apply their discipline? Yeah,
thank you. I think, in our view as Transform RSA, is that we have a drama king this time, joining the drama queen. And very soon we might have a drama prince and a drama godfather. You see, the problem that we have as Transform RSA is that the minute you leave this process unattended, because there are people that are living this deliberately, because we're talking factions here.
Yeah, but I mean, who's more dramatic than the other? We've heard from the Jackson Mthembus, we've heard from many other political leaders. So why would
currently
the ones that drama king?
That are standing out is a drama queen and a drama king, Mondli and Doc. But the problem is that it's going to be very difficult for you to manage this process when we're heading towards December conference, because provinces have their own views in relation to their own members. Now, what needs to happen here, if we are to save the ANC? Am I right?
No, you're fine.
Oh, if we are to save the ANC, is that the ANC has a constitution that must be abided by all of us. Now, the NEC has a responsibility and they have powers to intervene in instances like this. Rule 12.2.12 is very clear in terms of what must happen. And it's clear, it's saying that they must institute disciplinary hearings and suspend membership of those that are acting like the ones that we have just spoken about. Now, the reason why I'm raising this is if you talk disciplinary hearing, you're talking another 12 months that you will be able to then drag this case. And nothing will happen in the process, and a number of people will join doing the same issues. Now, what you need to do in this instance to be able to, you must be decisive. You must temporarily suspend their membership.
All right, let's all right, sorry, let's get Thabo Mutle on the line. Good evening to you, Thabo. And just your view from the ANC, NEC perspective, the seriousness of the charge, that of putting the party in disrepute and speaking outside the party constitution or the framework, and yet we see a different application to the discipline measures. Why is that? Maybe you can explain to us.
Thanks, indeed. First and foremost, I think the ANC is having challenges because the ANC, as we know, is not a federal organization. Therefore, we can't find a situation, the ANC doing something in Northern Cape and the ANC in Free State doing something different. Therefore, the comrade is ill-disciplined. He must be subjected to disciplinary processes. We are not disputing the fact that the PEC of Gauteng has decided to advise the comrade to refrain from further perpetuating this ill-discipline. But they must instigate disciplinary measures. But the other thing that remains a challenge, a bit of a challenge, it is quite worrying that the ANC at the national level continue to say members belong to branches, belongs to region, to provinces, and provinces must then act on those particular members. It must be done through formal communication in terms of writing letter, because at the end of the day, people will be saying Zuma must step down. We will say, no, that matter, Zuma is the member of the branch, that matter must be referred to the branch where Zuma comes from or the province to deal with that issue. Because on national matters, the NEC must then take charge.
Yeah, but hasn't he atoned for his transgression, if you will, by being willing, at least, to appear before an advisory panel in this case, where we've seen with Dr. Makhosi Khoza even questioning the legitimacy of the disciplinary committee or leadership in KZN?
I've seen that Makhosi Khoza has questioned the legitimacy of KZN PEC, but it is not up to her to decide the legitimacy of the leadership of the ANC in that province. Branches have decided, and we know for a fact that the leadership of the ANC is not elected through court. But if court, we can't jump before the gun. If the court decides otherwise about that leadership, we can't say the leadership at this point in time is not legitimate because their matter is still sub judice. Therefore, for her to then begin to decide that the leadership is illegitimate because they want to do the right thing and subject her to disciplinary processes because he is found to be ill-disciplined, it is really uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're losing you there, Thabo. We're going to try to repatch you. Again, I make the point that if you look at how, in the case of Dr. Khoza, it was exacerbated by the fact that she then shared a stage with known ANC and anti-Zuma campaigners, and over and above that, continued, not only in Parliament, who she aligns herself with could have been even more so a case for the disciplinary hearing as to compared to Gungubele.
That is clearly indicative that through the eye of the needle concept has utterly failed for the ANC. And I think it will do well for the ANC to really seriously think about it because it is not working through the eye of the needle principle. But this reminds me, one of the lessons we can learn from the manager of the century, management guru Jack Welch, who ran GE to make it one of the global behemoth. In fact, he comes up, he simplifies, particularly when you run larger organizations such as that, and this applies to the ANC as well, where you have a 2x2 matrix. 2x2 matrix says, listen, in terms, if they were to apply through the eye of the needle concept, then you look, it says the top quadrant in terms of this 2x2 matrix will be people who share the values of the organization and are competent in their job. Whatever that they get tasked to do, because ANC speak about deployment, when you deploy those people, they do well and they share the values of the organization. What are those values of the organization? It is astonishing that you've got within the ANC today people still arguing and debating what the ideology of the ANC should be. So that is a very key indicator that the problems are maybe that much bigger. They haven't paid much attention. The lower rank is that of people who don't perform and don't share the value of the organization. You fire such people. When you got people who are bringing the organization into disrepute, as we have seen this, you then have to fire them, because some of them are not even performers. But the most difficult group of people, by the way, is on the top right of the quadrant, which is people who share the values, who don't share the values of the organization, who, let's say, don't subscribe to through the eye of the needle principle, and yet they might be competent in certain areas. Those are the difficult people. But Jack Welch advises that if you don't fire those people in the long run, they are going to cost you the entire organization is going to collapse. And the ANC right now has got many people on the top right of the quadrant who don't share the values of the ANC through the eye of the needle.
But they're benefiting from riding on the coast of the party.
To be competent, and as a result, they tolerate them instead of getting rid of them. And that is exactly what is going to bring the ANC down. The lower rank, of course, of the 2x2 matrix is that of people who don't share the values and don't perform. Those you fire. Those that share the values but don't perform, they might be that they are misplaced. You give them a second chance. And that 2x2 matrix, by the way, it can be applied in every organization. I have seen it succeed in my own life, having applied it. I think that the ANC should learn that. Now, where we are now, this is the seventh, this is going to be the 8th motion of no confidence on the president. The question is that what is different this time? What has propelled people like Mondli Gungubele, Makosi Khosa to actually be so out of line? Could it be the allegation that has been made, which has been persistent for a long time now, that there are 64 MPs of the African National Congress who have been financially induced to vote with opposition? And because some of them already have received money, they are now compelled to have to say something to demonstrate and justify. And that is the biggest problem that the ANC is facing. So will the motion of no confidence be by secret ballot? I'm saying it is impossible, taking into account that the court said you must ensure, when the speaker, that if it's by secret ballot, that nobody has been bribed or financially induced or there's no corruption. I can't see how the speaker can be able to demonstrate that when that allegation has never been dispelled with or dispensed with, and in fact, if anything, Julius Malema and Mmusi Maimane have only confirmed that allegation that there are this number of ANC MPs who have been induced financially.
We'll deal with that just a day before Women's Day, the 8th of August.
Thank you.
When the vote takes place. But I just want to explore this, where you're saying that those that feel competent and they've delivered on the machinery or the duties in terms of their deployment within the ANC, now entrenching themselves in the party, feeling a legitimate expectation to be deployed again. If there's a reshuffle or they are now demoted, then there might be a disgruntlement. How real is that in your view?
Yeah, I think it's real possible. It's possible that people might have expectations to have been deployed somewhere else because of the performance that they performed. But I still feel strongly that this thing that is happening is not honest. And I think we must speak about it. This thing is happening towards the elections, and all of a sudden people have conscience. All of a sudden, because they've been there for a very long time, they have been having powerful positions like the mayor of Ekurhuleni, and there was no conscience at the time that things have been happening in the ANC. But what is critical for us to be able to deal with the issues of consistency, we have to be able to centralize this thing. Otherwise, the ANC is going to really have a serious crisis because it already have, but a very serious one, if everyone can be able to undermine the decisions of the NEC. You know, because that's what they do. The NEC has taken a conscious decision to say this is what must happen. But they defied that decision and nothing is happening. Now, tomorrow another one will do it and say, no, but why have you not charged this person? So for them to resolve this matter, they have to, as the NEC, have a special NEC to deal with this matter so that whenever somebody wants to do the same, there must be consequences. You know, that's what we are saying. We're saying you must activate the constitution of the ANC. That is very clear to say what is the powers of the NEC in relation to this matter. And you can temporarily suspend the membership. And if you do that, you suspend the membership, that person must just vacate until you finalize the issues of disciplinary hearing. As simple as that. Yeah.
Thabo, why has the NEC not acted, in your view, on all the members that have defied the rules and the constitution of the party?
Yes, I don't know why the NEC of the ANC not acting on them, but as I've said, we have heard the Secretary General saying provinces must deal with these comrades because they are from provinces, they are from branches, so forth and so on. But to some extent, I feel they are running away from their responsibility because action needs to be taken against these comrades because it is setting a wrong presidency. Hence now, if this comrade, next week it will be that comrade being ill-disciplined, and it will be difficult to discipline them at the later stage if you do not start now by this one, Makosi Khosa, Comrade Mondli, Comrade Derek Hanoko, and many others. Now, the other challenge that the ANC is facing is that the likes of Derek Hanoko, who are chairing that committee of disciplinary committee at the national level, they are perpetually ill-disciplined now. Who must then begin to take responsibility to discipline them? It is the NEC of the ANC which has been given mandate by conference to take decision in between conferences. But obviously, there is that we see the ANC being unable to take responsibility, deferring that responsibility to provinces. But then that creates a gap on itself to say now everybody thinks they can become Beyoncé of the ANC and say me, myself, and I cannot do this, can do that. But we all know, in the ANC we tore the party line. There is no individualism, there is no Beyoncé, me, myself, and I in the African National Congress. We operate as a collective and we use collective wisdom. That has been long instilled by the likes of the longest-serving president of the African National Congress, O.R. Tambo. Therefore, it can't be correct that today, when people are bitter because they were not deployed, and there is nothing wrong about being ambitious. Every comrade is allowed to be ambitious, but you wait until the ANC deploys you. The ANC does not owe any of its members anything.
Remuhle, yeah, please stay on the line, and maybe let's look at what has invoked the sudden wave of consciousness, as like he was saying all along. You know, people were in positions and it wasn't as loud a call for Zuma to fall, etc., and the criticism that is experienced so far.
Well, that so-called consciousness has not been sustained by any reason that you can clearly be able to see really its origin, where it's from. So this is clearly indicative that the ANC is suffering from entryism, which is the highest level of infiltration, and has been infiltrated by moneyed interests. And certainly, they can't now face the nation and say that among the 249 MPs that they have in Parliament, that all of them have been immune from being financially induced to support certain moneyed interests. We know as a matter of course that there is a regime change agenda for this country. And that regime change agenda, in March this year, I made the assertion that the agenda is to have Mmusi Maimane installed once they can buy their way into achieving this. Lo and behold, yesterday, the Democratic Alliance issued a statement confirming exactly the comments that I made in March this year. So it clearly is indicative that, if anything, because when you remove the president through a motion of no confidence, it's not just the president, it's the entire cabinet, which means the executive branch of the state collapses. And it is the backdoor way of bringing in the opposition through a paycheck. That's effectively, this is checkbook politics and nothing else. And it means that the ordinary people, the voters, have been given an illusion of democracy, when in real terms there is no democracy, because now even the people who are supposed to be beyond reproach and immune to being induced financially or bribed, now there are question marks. And they can be, it's not an accident that I think both DA and EFF have confirmed the number of MPs that they have. The question is exactly, how did they secure that number of MPs who have never articulated that position within the ANC, within caucus? And Jackson Mthembu, I can imagine he's sitting there, he must be, frustrated and stressed out.
Yeah, no, because it is prophecies that have sort of been fulfilled. Love him or hate him, but Julius Malema seems to know these things beforehand, and it would be a sad day indeed if we see the executive part of the state collapsing. But nonetheless, in your view, going forward, in the interest of, again, restoring the party, getting the necessary confidence, 2019 is within sight, what does the ANC have to do out of the norm to show their leadership and to show that they are serious about putting this country back on track?
No, of course, I have already alluded to the issue of the NEC's responsibilities, because the NEC must hold. If it doesn't hold, then the country will not be able to hold. So the NEC must be decisive, must be courageous, must take decisions. These issues that are happening currently, it's only the NEC that can be able to resolve them. And I've said once, it's nothing wrong for the NEC, even if it comes from an NEC Lekgotla now, to call another agent or special NEC to deal with this particular issue. Because if they can deal with this matter, then it means the rest, they can be able to then help others not to do the same. Yeah. You understand?
And Mr. Motle, I mean, as the NEC had pronounced that it is an unacceptable behavior of the worst form of ill discipline, what we've seen from MP Mondli Gungubele and others, and yet the treatment has been different. It sends a mixed message or mixed signals on how members are treated within the party.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. What's your response?
Yes, I'm saying what the ANC needs to do at this point in time is just to suspend those members that are ill-disciplined. And as the ANC Youth League, we are calling for their suspension, and they must be subjected to. Because what the disciplinary process unfolds in this fashion, you first reprimand those comrades. Now, the ANC has missed an opportunity to reprimand them because they want to defer that particular responsibility. But to cap this behavior that is perpetuating and to cap this unprecedented behavior, the ANC must just be decisive and suspend those that are ill-disciplined. Because once they do not do that, then it tells the public that the center is no longer holding in the ANC. And if the center does not hold, what happens? Things fall apart. Now, we are calling at the ANC Youth League, we are very resolute. We are calling upon the ANC to suspend all those members of parliament who are ill-disciplined, because whether the speaker decides otherwise, all members of the ANC that are deployed in that parliament must toe the ANC line.
All right, Thabo, we're going to have to leave it there, sir. We're out of time. Thanks indeed. That's Thabo Motle, ANC Youth League NEC member. We have Tsepo Kadima, a political analyst, and Laki Tekisho, he's the Transform RSA Deputy President. And you at home, much appreciated for staying with us. We'll be back just after this.